Hello, everyone. In yesterday's program, we comprehensively discussed the various extraordinary aspects of the Trump-Xi meeting, but there was one point I did not mention. Xi Jinping's height was abnormal. He was essentially eye to eye with Trump, who stands at 1.9 meters. I had actually seen this anomaly circulating online before yesterday's live broadcast. But why didn't I bring it up? As everyone knows, I have consistently maintained a cautious stance toward claims of body doubles. Without further evidence, I require additional observation and my own verification. Today, we are addressing this issue because more information has emerged, and it is connected to Japan's new female prime minister, Takaiichi. Takaiichi has already held talks with Xi Jinping. This can be considered the most closely watched leaders meeting after the Trump-Xi summit, for a simple reason. The CCP once sabotaged Takaiichi behind the scenes. As expected, Takaiichi did not mince words when speaking to Xi. Today is October 31st, Eastern U.S. time. I am Jingyuan Tang. Welcome to subscribe to our channel. Together, we use an objective perspective, logic, and common sense to uncover the truth behind the news. After the formal Trump-Xi meeting took place in Busan, South Korea, yesterday, apart from the meeting's content, every move between Trump and Xi Jinping became a global focal point. Many media outlets and netizens noticed that Xi Jinping, originally 1.78 meters tall, suddenly appeared much taller, standing next to the 1.9-meter Trump and looking almost exactly the same height. Various theories emerged. Some believed she may have rigged his shoes, while others suspected a body double. With the fourth plenum just concluded and she suspected of having power sideline becoming a hot topic, the body double theory naturally drew particular attention. First, Xi Jinping's height anomaly is an indisputable fact. When Trump visited Beijing in 2017 and met Xi, photos clearly showed Trump towering over Xi by about half a head. Thus, Xi's sudden growth spurt to nearly match Trump's height immediately raised eyebrows. Although online discussions about Xi using a body double are lively, objectively speaking, I personally lean toward Xi simply employing artificial height enhancement, most likely wearing so-called internal height-increasing leather shoes. First, Xi's height fluctuations are not new. During the 2015 first Shima meeting with former Taiwan President Ma Ying-jeou, 178 centimeters, the two appeared roughly the same height in photos. We can refer to the image below. But by the 2024 second Shima meeting, when the two were photographed together again, Xi clearly stood half a head taller than Ma. Therefore, in my view, Xi's height changes are nothing novel. He is simply engaging in personal cult building to project a taller, more imposing leader image, using a minor trick to bolster a fifth confidence beyond the official four. This is a standard tactic of the CCP propaganda system, but it often backfires. The intent is to make the leader appear grand and majestic, yet the result frequently turns him into an international laughingstock and fodder for public ridicule. Xi's little trick involves no high technology, just a pair of height-increasing shoes. After yesterday's talks with Xi, Takaiichi today posted on the platform a full-body photo of herself shaking hands with Xi. Everyone can examine this image. Let us zoom in for a clearer view. At least to me, Xi is clearly wearing height-increasing leather shoes. Anyone can search for images of such shoes for comparison. However, Xi did overdo it this time, gaining nearly 10 centimeters in one go. His original near 1.8-meter height is already above average for Asians, yet to appear on equal footing with Trump and avoid any visual disadvantage, he insisted on tiptoeing, sticking green onions in a pig's nose, pretending to be an elephant. Thus, one cannot help but feel that the Chinese people are truly undervalued, ridden for over a decade by a 200-pound elementary schooler lording over them. Even now, with his power hollowed out, he still fabricates a tall image for the masses to worship. One wonders if Japanese commentator Shirping would lament that this is the tragedy of the Chinese people and the shame of his alma mater, Peking University. Of course, I do not deny the possibility of Xi using a body double. As is well known, in communist red regimes, leaders employing body doubles is extremely common, practically standard issue. There are two reasons. One is security, using doubles in high-risk public settings to protect the real person. The other is stability maintenance, especially when the real leader faces serious health issues or power crises, deploying a double to create the illusion of normalcy. This is not conspiracy theory. After the Soviet collapse, memoirs from former KGB and NKVD personnel repeatedly mentioned Stalin having multiple long-trained doubles, the most famous being Felix Dadaev. From the late 1930s to the 1940s, Dadaev repeatedly substituted for Stalin at public events, parades, and short trips, especially when Stalin was ill or during wartime. After the Soviet dissolution, Dadaev himself publicly acknowledged this and received confirmation from the Russian government. Beyond that, figures including Yugoslavia's Tito, North Korea's Kim father and son, Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh, Saddam Hussein, who was hanged, and even current Russian President Putin have all been confirmed to have varying numbers of body doubles. In 2023, Putin was rumored to have suffered a heart attack, but he soon appeared publicly and spoke. However, Japanese experts using voice print analysis determined that this public Putin was not the same person as before. Thus, she having a body double is not surprising. I simply believe that for the Trump-Xi meeting, signing a capitulation agreement as a formality with no real risk, she was far more likely to attend. After all, she and Trump have dealt with each other multiple times and are quite familiar. If Trump detected anything off and realized it was a double, it could jeopardize the entire U.S.-China trade deal, which directly affects the CCP's economic lifeline. Such a risk is probably not worth taking. Speaking of Sanai Takaiichi, we must also address yesterday's focal point, the China-Japan summit. This Takaiichi-Xi meeting ranks just behind the Trump-Xi summit in attention for two major reasons. 1. Takaiichi had just become LDP president when the CCP secretly undermined her, using influence over Japan's Komeito party to fracture the LDP-Komeito coalition, nearly derailing her path to the premiership. 2. After successfully forming a coalition with the Japan Innovation Party and becoming Japan's first female prime minister in history, she broke decades of precedent by refusing to send a congratulatory message himself, instead having CCP Premier Li Chang do so, clearly a downgrade and an unmasked display of rejection and hostility toward Takaiichi. Thus, although the Takaiichi-Xi meeting was not exactly enemies meeting on a narrow road, how the two would spar naturally became a major point of interest. Facts prove that Sanai Takaiichi is indeed a highly seasoned politician. This afternoon local time, she first posted a photo on X showing an encounter with Xi inside the venue before the APEC summit began. The two exchanged greetings with polite smiles, and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung stood beside them. This was merely the prelude. The real test came during the subsequent formal talks. Before the talks, the customary handshake photo in front of national flags took place. This time, unlike the Trump-Xi meeting, she reversed roles. He stood in position first, with a slight home field demeanor, welcoming Takaiichi. When Takaiichi approached, she first said, "Good afternoon," then quickly turned his face away, avoiding eye contact with Takaiichi, his expression unsmiling and wooden. Takaiichi was equally direct. After shaking hands, she promptly faced the camera. Though her expression was softer, she showed no smile, projecting composure, neither servile nor overbearing, gentle yet firm. Once both entered the room for formal talks, Takaiichi's mettle truly shone. This Takaiichi-Xi meeting lasted only 30 minutes, essentially each side reciting key points, officially stating positions on China-Japan relations and concerns, then concluding, more ceremonial than substantive discussion. In the official CCTV video, she adopted a senior lecturing a junior tone, saying, "I hope the new Japanese cabinet establishes a correct understanding of China, cherishes the efforts and dedication of the older generation of politicians and people from all walks of life in both countries to develop Japan-China relations, and adheres to the general direction of peace, friendship, and cooperation between China and Japan." Meanwhile, CCTV edited in several shots of Takaiichi nodding slightly, clearly signaling she's setting the direction and Takaiichi listening and learning. Did you notice? When speaking, she could look up at Takaiichi. This sharply contrasts with his Trump meeting, where he kept his head down reading from notes, Bugan meeting Trump's gaze. In other words, she at least felt he could display restored confidence before a junior female leader. Predictably, however, Takaiichi refused to play along. According to reports from Kyoto News and NHK, although she's remarks were mostly diplomatic rhetoric, Takaiichi bluntly raised numerous substantive issues. On X, Takaiichi herself posted, "I held talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Precisely because unresolved issues and differences exist, I emphasize the importance of direct and frank dialogue. While conveying various unresolved issues, we also explored possibilities for cooperation." What unresolved issues and differences did she frankly express? After the meeting, answering Japanese media questions, Takaiichi revealed part of her remarks to Xi. China and Japan have some unresolved issues and differences of opinion. She had clearly and candidly elaborated on these, openly stating the following. 1. The Senkaku Islands, Diaoyu Islands, and East China Sea issues. Japan's position is firm and brooks no infringement. 2. CCP export controls on rare earths and other resources, demanding China stop weaponizing resources politically. 3. Cases of Japanese citizens detained by the CCP. Takaiichi expressed grave concern and demanded China ensure the safety of all Japanese in China. For CCP military actions in the South China Sea, the Japanese government is deeply concerned. 5. Severe human rights violations in Hong Kong and Xinjiang. Japan expresses serious concern. 6. Takaiichi also raised overseas abductions of Japanese citizens and the North Korea issue, even directly demanding China promptly resume imports of Japanese seafood and beef and lift unreasonable trade restrictions on Japanese products, all laid out in rapid succession. Frankly, everyone knows Takaiichi is relatively tough, but this level of toughness exceeded my expectations. Why? This was her debut on a major international diplomatic stage as new prime minister and her first face-to-face with the CCP's top leader. Under such circumstances, typical politicians opt for safe moderation, seeking no spotlight, only no mistakes. Takaiichi rejected such political correctness. In their first encounter, she directly raised a long list of specific Japanese concerns without evasion or fear of offending the CCP and inviting retaliation. This courage and confidence alone far surpasses the many leaders who bow and scrape before Xi, terrified of losing a few orders. To put it slightly hyperbolically, nearly every issue Takaiichi raised was a CCP dirty deed. Throwing them all out in a leaders' meeting essentially amounted to confronting Xi head-on. Simply put, any confidence she had just regained likely vanished completely after Takaiichi's unsparing barrage. Dare Xi retaliate against Takaiichi? Can he still retaliate? We shall see. Finally, a thought-provoking detail for everyone. This has already drawn international media attention. According to today's report in the Korea Herald, after concluding the Trump-Xi meeting, she proceeded to Gyeongju and unexpectedly checked into the Kolon Hotel, about a 10-minute drive from Bulguksa Temple. The Kolon Hotel, Gyeongju's first luxury hotel built in 1978, is known for traditional Korean architecture, expansive grounds, and high-quality service. Though considered one of the area's upscale hotels, it is rated only 4 stars. Gyeongju, the ancient capital of Korea's Silla Kingdom, though small, has at least 2 5-star hotels. Trump and the U.S. delegation earlier stayed at one, the Hilton, roughly 10 minutes drive from the Kolon. This news is rapidly gaining traction for a simple reason. When she attended the BRIC Summit in South Africa, he booked out 2 entire hotels and completely renovated his suite just for a 2-night stay. That extravagance was par for the course, and the international community long grew accustomed to such opulence. She's sudden frugality and downgrade this time. Is it lack of money, a sudden change of character, or some other unavoidable hardship? Everyone is entitled to their view. Comments welcome with your thoughts.